My name is Michael Goss. Everything is possible when you believe.
Chances are you know someone with traumatic brain injury, or TBI. In Canada, brain injuries are the leading cause of death and disability for people under 35 years old. More than 11,000 Canadians die from TBI each year, while an estimated 62.3 out of every 100,000 adults are living with enduring functional impairments due to TBI. Yet many people are unaware of the various treatments available to help aid the difficult road to recovery. A TBI is a trauma to the head and brain that can be caused by an impact from a fall or sharp blow to the head, or by a lack of oxygen supplied to the brain. When most people think about brain injuries, they imagine the loss of motor function. But often the invisible, cognitive, and socio-emotional changes such as memory loss and depression have a greater impact. It can be a tremendously challenging injury for the survivors to manage. TBI changes lives. It's amazing how quickly life can change. Michael had a wonderful childhood growing up in Eastern Canada. His family was solid, building their dream life together. He had a job he really loved. He had great friends and a fun, active life. He really did have it all. Life was darn near perfect.
My supervisor at the time had phoned me, explaining to me that Michael, his wife and 2 children had been in a car accident.
I remember very clearly that I tried to get a flight that very same day, but all the flights were booked, so the closest flight was the following morning, and I think we took a 6 a.m. flight out of Quebec City to Vancouver.
Yes. It's not really happening to you because it cannot be happening to your family.
For the first 2 weeks after the accident, Michael was cared for in the Royal Inland Hospital in Kamloops. He was in a coma, and the doctor's prognosis was not favorable. There was real concern that he may never regain consciousness. On May 30th, Michael was transferred by air ambulance to the neurology department at Royal Columbian Hospital in New Westminster. Although he remained unresponsive for 6 months, his family never gave up hope. Their perseverance was the turning point in his recovery, which led Michael to the introduction of hyperbaric oxygen therapy with Dr. Thomas J. Pack.
Michael was diagnosed with a condition known as diffuse axonal injury, or DAI for short. DAI is one of the most devastating types of traumatic brain injury because damage is evident over a wide area of brain tissue and not just a small or focal area. The mechanism of DAI involves shearing forces acting on the neurons of the brain. These forces occur during rapid deceleration-acceleration situations, such as when a person experiences or is involved in a serious motor vehicle accident. The outcome is frequently coma, and in 90% of cases with severe DAI, the patient never regains consciousness. If the patient does wake up, they are left with significant disability and functional impairment.
There was substantial research supporting HBOT as an effective treatment for brain injury. Michael's father had found his hope.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy involves breathing pure oxygen in a pressurized, enclosed environment called a hyperbaric chamber. The therapy is a modification of what the scuba divers used in treating decompression sickness.
Initial use of hyperbaric oxygen is very important to reduce the swelling and inflammation, therefore reducing further brain damage. In later stage of brain neurorehabilitation, hyperbaric oxygen therapy is essential in combination with the physio and occupational therapy to further reduce the brain inflammation, increase the blood flow circulation, increase the neurotransmitter release, the stem cell release, increase the brain function, connectivity, and further reduce the motor and the cognitive dysfunction.
Prior to Michael's accident, I had no knowledge whatsoever of the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. After the third session in the chamber, we saw the first sign of recovery. And each and every time that my wife Susie accompanied Michael in the chamber, each time we saw another small miracle.
When Michael woke up, after those first few months of treatments, everything had to be relearned.
So I first met him at Royal Columbian Hospital when he was in dire straits. He was basically came out of his coma and he was in a fetal position and he looked like he was not in good shape.
It was at Neuromotion Physiotherapy Clinic in Vancouver that Michael underwent extensive physiotherapy to learn how to walk again.
Michael Koss came to Neuromotion about 5 years ago to try to improve his ability to walk, to get out of his wheelchair. For an individual who is unable to walk following a TBI, the first program is getting them up and mobilizing them as much as possible, getting them out of their bed, getting them upright, trying to get things moving and prevent contractures. The Lokomat is a device that can enable somebody who is unable to walk over a treadmill. It can vary how much you load the individual. They can be walking on air or you can put them fully weight supported on the treadmill. So it puts somebody through a normal cycle of walking. Often when you've had a head injury, you end up with balance problems and being unaware of where your midline is. So it's all about regaining that midline, regaining your balance.
I know Michael because I met him at a rehab center at Connect Community Rehab after I was in a plane crash in 2008. I met him in 2009. One thing that Michael has inspired me to do is never quit, basically. Always go ahead and do your best. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how bad your situation is, you can fight it. And Michael has been such a positive influence. He always thinks positive, and that's what I got from him.
3 years ago when I saw Michael, he couldn't move, he couldn't talk. So after each session we assigned a target, he must beat that target, and every time he beat the target.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy was a very important step in helping Michael regain his consciousness, and the research that his father and mother did in finding the alternative solution was also very important.
I was in a power wheelchair for over 5 years. Then I progressed to a manual wheelchair for 2 years, and now I'm walking.
Although Michael had a strong support network of family and close friends, at the beginning of 2007, he moved into Larkin House, an assisted living facility for medically challenged adults recovering from brain injury. Here he received 24-hour care by therapists and caregivers and regained the confidence and self-worth needed to reintegrate back into the community.
Larkin House is it's a program of Cheshire Home Society. It's a 24/7 service that's for people with major traumatic brain injuries.
Is that causing Mom a bit of gray hair?
We will assist our clients to live a healthy and enriched and balanced life. We try to find programs that can facilitate our clients. We also have our own community integration program allowing us to take clients out daily to get to know their local parks and shops, neighbors, the neighborhood recreation facilities and special events. If they weren't in these places, these facilities, they would be in a hospital in extended care.
Hello, my name is Michael Cos, and as you know this, I'm here to do sit-down comedy. I was in a car accident and suffered brain damage, but I've come a long way. Now I get to choose what food I'm going to eat. I follow Canada's food guide. That means I get to have a molten Canadian with every meal because I am Canadian.
Michael's physical rehabilitation progress during the several years he spent at Larkin House was nothing short of a miracle, paving the way for his transition to Connect Communities, where he began rebuilding his life one goal at a time.
One of the principles that Connect is sort of founded on is really encouraging the development of what we call social capital. The better the quality of your relationships, the more likely you are to be healthy, happy, engaged, and productive.
This will be the takeaway. The connections that he makes is a connection that's made with everyone. Michael's story is not in texting, it's not in tweets, it's not in chat rooms. It's a very soulful message.
Recovering and managing TBI involves more than learning to live with functional limitations. Change brings emotional and mental challenges.
It's got its downs, it's got its ups, but I find it hard when people assume you can't do something without you telling them, and that's tough.
Somebody's been in an automobile accident in which they have a minor head injury, may have a major emotional injury. The big issue associated with that kind of damage is the brain is not talking to itself in an efficient fashion. And what we've been able to do with the new brain assessments with our clinical databases is to be able to identify what the emotional state of the individual is. We did full brain maps on him and identified areas of the brain that we felt we could address with neurotherapy.
For both TBI survivors and their loved ones, recovering is about letting go and moving on.
I had lost a very promising career, which was really all I had intended I wanted to do with my life. And I had to discover how to be a new person and to learn what I could do now. And I looked at what Michael was doing and the way he was doing it, and I thought, I can do this. If Michael can do what he has to do, I can do what I have to do.
I think the bottom line here is what we get from the people who are really successful at this is don't give up. You're starting another page, another chapter in your life.
My wife and I realized today that there is a reason for everything in life. Michael's accident allowed us not only to grow as a couple, but to grow as a human being. And it made us realize that every adversity carries with it the seed of a benefit.
When Michael received the news his wife Anne was having twins, he was overjoyed. They had been trying to conceive for years. Today, that overwhelming joy for his children is the driving force behind Michael's recovery.
Now my kids give me the willpower to fight every day so that I can return to a more normal way of life, either improving my speech or improving my walking ability.
He has always shown me how much fun he can have, and I see him how much fun he has with his kids. Oh, and they are the two cutest kids.
I'm trying to be a better parent, a better father, and also losing my cane by the end of the year.
Sometimes an amazing opportunity shows up when you least expect it. Sometimes, perhaps, things happen for a reason. Michael's accident changed his life and gave him a new purpose.
I just feel that Michael has the ability to change and transform people's lives, and to be a part of that is amazing.
I'm involved in the brain injury community, and he's spoken at more events this past year than anybody else that I've ever known. I've actually never been in the presence of someone who can get a group of people on their feet 3 times in one speech, like Michael can, and bring everyone to tears.
Someone who is giving back to their community, doing things differently, inspiring people, getting things done their way.
Michael wanted to help the community that helped him in his time of need by fundraising for various groups. He and his group raised over $22,000 for the Rick Hansen Foundation. They also raised $5,000 for the Terry Fox Foundation. Michael also wrote a book about his recovery that I'm sure will help those going through similar situations. And now with his family, he has set up the Michael Cause Brain Injury Foundation.
Starting my own foundation to assist children to improve their quality of lives by undergoing the same type of treatment that gave me a second chance at life.
To see your child who had been in a coma for 6 months, and doctors had said that he would never, ever again come out of the coma, and to see him smile. There wasn't any greater joy than that.
I think Michael is many things to many people. To choose one word to describe Michael, it might be hope. Because I think that Michael could have given up. And he didn't. When you see an individual that's accomplished so much against such odds, it gives us all hope.
The ultimate word is for them to sacrifice. To remove from Quebec City to Vancouver to care after Michael. If it weren't for them, he would not be to where he's at in his progression stage.
Patience. A lot of patience. And day in, day out, getting up and being faithful with what he's been given to do. And one foot in front of the other every day with a smile on his face.
Determined. Firmly resolved to succeed. No matter how big, no matter how small the issue is.
I attended the event and was so inspired by this gentleman who struggled to get up to the podium. It was difficult for him to speak, but the message that he gave that day was very impressive. He wants to give back to the community.
The first one that came to mind for me was Hero. He is a hero for me. And just to see the father that he is and the things that he does to improve himself for his kids.
Resilient. Michael taught me the meaning of it, and it's the ability to bounce back, which is what he did.
Joy of life. He just had this exuberance for living and a passion for making every day count.
Power of the human spirit can conquer almost anything. Priorities will be tested, our values will be tested, our dreams will be tested, our very will to survive will be tested.
Everything is possible when you believe.